What's up, Spud Nation? Week 2 NFL fantasy football time. Hopefully you all brought home week 1 victories. Hey, it's been a great season so far. A lot of new names, a lot of old all-stars coming back to form. I love it. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, hit me up, Craig at thesportscoach.com. We're also doing a great job, guys. Twitter, blowing up, answering all your Twitter questions. I appreciate everyone asking. And lastly, all you on YouTube, you're doing a great job. Keep the questions coming. Thanks for asking. Before we get started, I want to congratulate a couple week 1 victories. Randy, you the man from Jersey. Randy from Jersey. Week 1 victory, ranking right up there at the top of the leaderboard in his fantasy football league. Randy, good work. Sean, excellent job. All these are victories in week 1. Lindsay, Jessica, we got some girls winning in their week 1 fantasy leagues. Tim, Ray, all you guys, thanks for hitting me up, asking me questions. I appreciate it. Great job, everyone, on their week 1 victories. If any of you guys want a shout out next week, let me know your victories. Let me know how you guys are doing in your league. I'll pick some random people, give you some random shouts, and we'll take it from there. Tim, I also forgot you. Not sure if I said you, but Tim, nice job in your week 1 fantasy football league. Here we go. We got a Thursday night game. This is a big time shootout. Packers, Bears. Bears coming into Lambeau. We'll see how it goes. A new and improved Bears team. Jay Cutler, must start. I love this guy. I think he's going to have a huge week. He's got weapons around him, and we saw what Brandon Marshall brought to the table. Cutler loves him, throws to him a lot, and Marshall, hey, I was not a big Brandon Marshall fan coming into this year, but I can't get enough of this guy right now. He gets that many targets. He brings in that many passes. Brandon Marshall, look for him to be a week by week by week impact player. Marshall is a start. Cutler is a start. I also really like Alshon Jeffrey. He's a perfect complement to Marshall. Alshon Jeffrey is my starting wide receiver 3 or flex play this week. No questions asked. Packers secondary, suspect at best. Bears are going to score a lot of points. Look for decent weather, so Cutler should be able to throw the ball everywhere. Jeffries, he'll get his targets and he'll bring in the catches. Lastly, I think Forte. Yeah, he's not getting the goal line dives, but Forte still has plenty of value, gets plenty of touches, either catching the ball out of the backfield or running it. Forte is a must play. And I'm sitting Michael Bush. I know everyone is huge on the Michael Bush bandwagon. He got those 2 touchdowns. How many times are the Bears going to get to the red zone and just stall out at the 1-yard line? Look for someone else to score, maybe Matt Forte 10 yards out, or Cutler throwing the ball in. Michael Bush can't just keep diving in 1-yard touchdowns. I'm sitting him on the bench. He's not going to get as many carries. It's not going to be mop-up time like it was last week. Michael Bush on the bench, Forte start. On the Packers side of things, Aaron Rodgers, still my #1 player in fantasy football. He's a must start. It's going to be a shootout, like I said. The Bears can score. Packers are going to have to score right there with them. Rodgers starts. Jordy Nelson is a start as well. Rumor has it Greg Jennings might not play, so keep an eye on the injury report. No Greg Jennings means more action to not only Jordy Nelson, but keep an eye on Randall Cobb. Tons of catches last week. Cobb is a fantastic play. Pick him up. He's a sleeper play. Rodgers loves him. He's talking all about this kid. Randall Cobb, a nice addition to your fantasy team. Next, Jermichael Finley, the most targets on the Packers team. Rodgers found him early and often. Yeah, Finley dropped a few. That's what he does. But with 11 targets, he's got value. So Jermichael Finley, go out there and get him. And lastly, you sit Cedric Benson. I don't know how many times I had to tell people going into this year, Packer running backs are worthless. Cedric Benson, worthless. Don't hurt yourself and start him. He's not worth your start. Put him on the bench and be happy with that decision. Sunday's games, Tampa Bay Buccaneers taking on the Giants. Buccaneers, Doug Martin, that's your start. I know Vincent Jackson is on their team. He's getting the most looks, but a couple drops, Just not a high-octane Tampa offense. Doug Martin is the only guy sneaking into my starting lineup. For the Giants, Eli Manning, start him. Hakeem Nicks, start him. Victor Cruz, start him. Victor Cruz had a few drops, but he's still plenty of targets. Still had a bunch of catches. Victor Cruz in my starting lineup. Live with it. The drops will not continue to happen. And lastly, I like Marcellus Bennett. You know what? Take a look at this guy. In a deep league, he's not a bad tight end to have. Bennett scored the touchdown, 4 receptions, get him in your lineup if it's a deep league. No need to go out there and think he's going to score a touchdown every week. So there you go. Raiders, going into Miami. This should be a real snooze fest. For the Raiders, Darren McFadden, start him. The dude just touched the ball early and often. A lot of runs, a lot of catches, tons of yards, just didn't find the end zone. I still love him. Keep him in your lineup. Hayward Bay, in a very deep league, he finds his way into your lineup. He's playing a really bad Miami team. Palmer's got to throw it somewhere. So in a really deep league, maybe he makes your lineup a flex at best in a normal league. And for the Dolphins, Reggie Bush is their only offensive player that I would consider starting. Reggie Bush is a flex start this week at best. Texans, Jaguars. Texans, you got the normal. Matt Schaub, Arian Foster, Andre Johnson. And I'm putting Owen Daniels up there in the top 10, top 12 tight ends. If you have him on your team and he is your best tight end, must start. Schaub looks to him. He'll have 4 to 8 catches. Well, I should say 4 to 6 catches this week. Possibly a touchdown. He's just a very nice safety blanket for Matt Schaub. And for the Jaguars, they showed some signs of life on offense. I'm not in love with Blaine Gabbert by any means right now, but he looked like a serviceable quarterback for once. So Gabbert is not a start in your fantasy league unless you're in an extremely deep league and hurting for a quarterback. You have Maurice Jones-Drew. He's the guy. You're starting him. You drafted him really high. He's ready to play, so get him in your lineup. And I like Mercedes Lewis. All he needed was a quarterback to throw him the ball. 2 years ago, we saw what this kid can do. He's a monster at tight end, and I think he could have a really strong year if Blaine Gabbert continues to be able to throw the ball downfield. So Mercedes Lewis, if he's a free agent right now, give him a good look. Find him a home on your roster because that touchdown last week wasn't a fluke. This guy can score, and he can score a bunch. As far as the receivers on the Jaguars, they have Blackman, who is probably the biggest name on the roster, Laurent Robinson, and Cecil Shorts. None of them are making my starting lineup, not even a flex play this week, but obviously Blackman is the guy you want to keep an eye on. Browns, Bengals. Browns, Trent Richardson, he's a flex start this week. He looked absolutely horrible last week, as did the entire Browns offense. Bengals, AJ Green, start. Benjarvis Green-Ellis, start. I'm happy because Benjarvis Green-Ellis, he was my sleeper coming into this year. The dude looked amazing during their game. I like him. And lastly, a deep play, Andrew Hawkins. The guy's like 3 feet tall, but man, he gets out there. He makes the most of his opportunity. Had 8 catches. Again, in deep leagues, if you're looking for a guy who's going to get a bunch of looks, Andrew Hawkins, it would appear he's going to be an important part of the Bengals offense. Chiefs, Bills, Matt Castle. He looked good for a short amount of time. Give him a half, he looked spectacular. Then the Chiefs, the wheels kind of fell off. But in a deep play, deep league, maybe Matt Castle sneaks into your, if you're in a 16-team league. Matt Castle, not a horrible start against a defense whom a lot of people thought would be really solid in the Bills. Matt Castle looks like he could be able to throw against that defense. I like Dwayne Bowe. He's still the guy. He's going to get a lot of targets. Bills got to figure out a way to stop him. Jamal Charles, you know what you're going to get with this dude. He's going to give you some yards. He's not going to find the end zone. That's been Jamal Charles' MO for his entire career. those of you who went out there and drafted him, you know what you get with this guy. You get the yards, enjoy him. And in a deep league, here's a deep play with Dexter McCluster. He had 6 catches. That's about all he's going to bring to the table. Some receptions. But, again, if you're in a deep league looking for a guy probably on the waiver wire, McCluster is your dude. For the Bills, Ryan Fitzpatrick, I like him a lot this week. I think he's going to throw the ball all over the place. If interceptions don't affect the scoring in your league, Fitzpatrick is a solid play. The Bills are going to wing it everywhere. C.J. Spiller is now in the backfield, likes to catch the ball. Fitzpatrick, he's going to make my top 10 for quarterbacks. I like what he can do. Get him in your lineup. C.J. Spiller, like I said, in your lineup now. Fred Jackson's hurt. Spiller had a monster game last week. The guy's got talent. He has shown when he gets the opportunity, he can go out there and put up a lot of yards and find the end zone. So Spiller, get him in your lineup. Stevie Johnson, another good play. Get him in your wide receiver 3 or a flex play. And lastly, Donald Jones. Kind of a sleeper play here. Deeper league, Donald Jones. He is now the number 2 wide receiver. Their number 3 got injured. Jones had 5 catches. Look for him to get a lot of looks. Just a nice compliment to Stevie Johnson. Ravens, Eagles. Ray Rice, start. Ravens defense looked amazing. Get them in your lineup. And lastly, I got a lot of questions about Dennis Pitta and Ed Dickson. Ed Dickson is still number 1 on the depth chart. I know Pitta went out there, had a really good game. 5 catches, 73 yards. I believe he got the touchdown as well. But Dickson, I'm still taking the number 1 tight end in the depth chart till things change. They run the 2 tight end set. Well, he's going to get his opportunity. But I'm still going with Dickson. Last year was 2nd in the team in receptions, and I don't see that changing at all. Eagles. Michael Vick threw the ball almost 60 times last week. He's going to be on his back an awful lot if they do that again against this nasty, nasty defense. I'm keeping Vick out of my top 10. I hate this matchup. Ravens D looked so good last week. LaShawn McCoy is a start, and Jeremy Maclin, if healthy, is your other start. Saints, Panthers. Drew Brees, start. Jimmy Graham, start. Darren Sproles, I like him. Running back 2 or a flex play. He's always involved. And lastly, their wide receivers. Lance Moore had a huge week last week. He probably won't get the ball at all this week. Colston, look for him to have a big week just because it wasn't him last week. I hate the Saints receivers. It's impossible to predict. They're all going to get at least 3 to 4 or 5 catches. It's just, if you want higher volume than that, look elsewhere. Now the Panthers, Cam Newton didn't look great last week. Hopefully he turns it around. Cam Newton's still in my top 10. Still starting for me. I'm keeping him in my lineup. Steve Smith looked great, over 100 yards receiving. And Greg Olsen, I'm not sure if you can consider him a sleeper play, but I like him a lot. Cam loves this guy. He's going to get a lot of touches. Get him in your lineup. Or if he's on the free agent waiver wire, put him on your team. He can only help you moving forward. Cardinals, Larry Fitzgerald. That's it. Running game was disgusting. I don't care if you have Beanie or Ryan Williams. Stay away. Yuck. Patriots. My God, should I list off their entire team? Tom Brady, Gronkowski, Stephen Ridley. That's my boy. Drafted him. Looked amazing. Hernandez, Welker. If you had Welker, don't give up on this dude. He's a 100-catch dude every year. And you know what? Only 3 catches, but going to turn it around. Brandon Lloyd. We'd be talking a whole different ball game if Tom Brady didn't know where to throw him. He's wide open. Would have been a deep touchdown. We'd be talking about Brandon Lloyd being the guy in New England. So all you Brandon Lloyd owners out there, it was a nice gesture in week 1, I guess. 5 catches. If he would have caught that one deep one, holy crap, we'd be talking a different tune. But for now, I'm looking at Brandon Lloyd as a flex play, nothing higher. Vikings, Kyle Rudolph, sleeper. He had 5 catches. I like what this big behemoth can bring to the table, and Christian Ponder needs that checkoff guy. Adrian Peterson, he's a freak. He's a starter in your backfield. My God, how he does this, I don't know. Percy Harvin also gets touches. I'm looking at him wide receiver 3, flex play. For the Colts, Reggie Wayne, tons of targets. Get him the ball. Get him in your lineup. Donald Brown, in deeper leagues, dude barely had any carries. 9 carries, that's ridiculous for a running back. I'm looking at him, flex play maybe a flex play. Just not enough volume and carries. And then Coby Fleener, 6 catches, 82 yards. He is a nice play and a nice rookie to have on your bench. We all know Andrew Luck loved him in college. Luck loves his tight ends, so there you go. Redskins, Rams, holy crap, I don't even know what to say about RG3. This guy went out there and played like a veteran of 15 years. He looked sharp. Did he incomplete any passes? You got to appreciate what RG3 brought to the table. He's athletic, throwing great balls, and he loved Pierre Garçon. If Pierre Garçon's healthy again, wow, get him in the lineup. I still am keeping RG3 out of the top 10 of my quarterbacks, but he's knocking on the door. He's got to prove it to me again. I know he's going up against a shaky Rams D, but still, RG3 still out of my starting lineup for now. Alfred Morris. I'm drinking the Kool-Aid right now. You can't keep a guy with that many touches out of your lineup. We're hoping and praying that Shanahan sticks with a running back. It would appear he loves this kid. He got 90% of the carries. Morris looked good when he was running. Just a big old bruiser. Morris, I went out there and snagged him off the waiver wire. Had a bunch of people trying to get him that I was consulting, and you know what? Some waiver rules are pretty dumb. We missed out on them on a couple teams, but if you have them, get them in your lineup. Fred Davis, I think he's one of the best tight ends in the game. RG3 will continue to build that rapport with him. Get him in your lineup. And lastly, a guy to keep your eye on, Aldrick Robinson. Every time this kid gets an opportunity, he makes catches and makes the most of it. I'm not saying run out there and pick him up yet, but keep an eye. Aldrick Robinson, wide receiver, Washington Redskins. For the Rams, Danny Amendola. He is a wide receiver 3 at best. They need someone to throw to, and he's obviously the guy. Steven Jackson, running back 2 at best. He gets high volume carries. That's about all he has going for him. And then Brandon Gibson. Started throwing him the ball late. He scored. Well done. He's their number 1, I guess, in St. Louis. Cowboys. Romo looked great. DeMarco Murray looked even better. If you have either of those two, they're starters this week. I think Romo's numbers are going to go down a little bit. Seattle with those big, physical, strong, good corners. Seattle's defense is very solid. Dallas likes to pinpoint weak cornerbacks, weak safeties, stuff like that, and attack them. They're going to have a hard time against Seattle. That leads us to Mr. Ogletree. No, do not start him. They went into week 1 not knowing who their number 3 was, and this guy just got lucky and took advantage of 4th, 5th, 6th guys on depth charts in the secondary. I mean, he was beating up on high school kids out there. He made the most of his opportunity, but I'm not buying it. Ogletree on my bench. Dez Bryant still the best of the bunch. I would take him any day. Miles Austin had that one nice catch for the touchdown, but it's going to be a tough go of things for the Dallas Cowboys wide receivers against Seattle's secondary. I think Seattle's secondary is vastly underrated. They're big, they're tall, they're good. It's going to be a fun matchup to watch. Jets, Steelers. Mark Sanchez looked really good. I'll give him credit. He looks solid for once in his career. He is, however, going up against Pittsburgh. Sanchez is not in my top 10. He won't be a starting quarterback for me. Sean Green, I will give him a nod. I'll put him at my running back 2. just a high volume of carries for the Jets running back. And I'm going to Stephen Hill. I talked him up. I put high words for this dude in my fantasy guide coming in. I loved his talent. And guess what? He paid off huge. He played an excellent game last week, and I think he's going to continue to get looks from Sanchez. Pittsburgh. Their backfield is a mess. I'm staying away from everyone. I don't start anybody. Keep an eye. Rashard Mendenhall may play this week, so we'll keep an eye on that. And I'm saying stay away from all their running backs, even though the Jets' run defense was gashed last week. It's a mess. Dwyer back there. Now Mendenhall might get thrown in the mix. Redmond, you never know who's going to get carries, and none of them looked all that good. Titans. Chris Johnson, I'd like to say I told you so. Stay away from this dude. He doesn't get it done for me. He doesn't score touchdowns. Even on his greatest games, he doesn't get it done. So all you drafted him high, enjoy that. Keep starting him and enjoy the lack of productivity. Jared Cook, he's legit. This guy gets targeted often. He catches everything, and he is an athletic freak. Damian Williams, a guy to keep your eye on, as well as Kendall Wright. Both caught 5 catches. Keep an eye on them. Don't run out there and throw them in your lineup yet, but just dudes to keep an eye on. And the Chargers. Yikes. Don't expect Ryan Matthews this week. Their running game was piss poor. Just awful. Malcolm Floyd, he's a nice wide receiver 3. Maybe a flex play for you. And Antonio Gates, you drafted him high. He's on your team. He's probably your best tight end, so start him. Lions, Matthew Stafford. I know everyone's trying to jump off the bandwagon right now. Stafford's still the dude. They're going to throw the ball like 50 times a game. He's got Kelvin Johnson. Stafford starts this week. Megatron starts this week. Kevin Smith, flex play, maybe. And Brandon Pettigrew. You saw how many times Jermichael Finley got targeted from the Packer game. Pettigrew will see an equal amount of targets. 49ers, best team in the league right now. They look it. Frank Gore looks solid. Start him. Randy Moss is a nice sleeper play. Wide receiver 3, maybe a flex play. He looked really good. Vernon Davis as well. He's probably your best tight end on your team. And in a deep league, Kendall Hunter. He got a bunch of carries. I don't know, man. He's not a starter this week. He's nothing like that. But in your league, he's not a bad guy to put on your bench. So if Kendall Hunter is available and you need a running back and it's a deep league, Kendall Hunter is your guy. This is Phoebe, by the way. Broncos, Atlanta, Monday Night Football. Peyton Manning, start. Demaryius Thomas, start. Eric Decker, you know what? I like Eric Decker as well. If he is on a roster where he's a borderline play, ask me a question. It all depends. But he is a possible starter this week. They both caught the ball 5 times last week. Demaryius Thomas just broke that long one. Or, you know what? We'd be talking possible flex plays for both of them. I like them both. Manning looks to them both. Go for it. Jacob Tamme, same amount of touches. Looked good. And Willis McGahee, he got the bulk of the carries. 16 carries last week. Go for it. Get him in your lineup. Atlanta looked phenomenal. Matt Ryan, Roddy White, Julio Jones, and if you have Tony Gonzalez, more than likely he's your best tight end. So get them all in your lineup. All right, in no particular order, these are the top 10 quarterbacks going into this week. I got Cutler, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Drew Brees, Matthew Stafford, Matt Ryan, Ryan Fitzpatrick, Eli Manning, Peyton Manning, and Cam Newton. A couple guys to avoid, Michael Bush and Cedric Benson. Spud Nation, there you go. Good luck, week 2. Hit me up again, Craig at thesportscoach.com. Hit me up on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. My Twitter handle is @thesportscoach. Till next time, guys, good luck, whip some butt. I'll see you then.